Hi, I'm James Fox from James Fox Music. Check out the website at www.jamesfoxmusic.co.uk. Give it a like, give it a share. Remember, like, share, subscribe to these videos. It always really helps and I'm really grateful for it. Today's lesson, we're going to be talking about rhythm. We'll start off with real basics and we might get into some more advanced sort of stuff. We'll see how it goes. But to start with, we're going to look at how rhythm works as a bass player, what you're supposed to be doing. We all know the bass is kind of the best instrument, but it's a really important one in the band. You know, you've got to be able to lock in with your drummer who holds your rhythm, holds your groove, and you've also got to work around the singer and the guitarist and the keyboard player, sax player if you've got one, and you've got to play the right notes, because otherwise you're going to sound dissonant and just not right. And not having a good bass player in a band is a really bad thing. So you want to be one of the guys who's, like, you know, the best. You want to be stand up. You want to be known for having a tight groove with your drummer and sounding really great. Rhythm is a really, really important aspect. It's one of the three key things of music, along with harmony and melody. Without rhythm, no one can dance to music. No one can enjoy themselves. There's no groove. There's no, you know, nothing to help you move your body to. You know. So as a bass player, you help create that. There are loads of great bass players who have played on hit records that have created some of the best grooves, some of the best dance songs ever. If you want to check them out, check out James Jamerson, Pino Palladino, and Michael League from Snarky Puppy. Those three guys are probably my three main influences as a bass player personally. Jamerson played on all of the old school Motown records, and they are some of the most funky, groovy, danceable songs you'll ever hear, especially the Stevie Wonder ones. Check out For Once in My Life. It's an absolute cracking tune. Jamerson does amazing at holding a groove down, playing with the rhythm and playing with Stevie Wonder's voice, following the vocal harmony. It's great. Seriously, I recommend it. But we're going to look at what the basics are of rhythm. So when we talk about rhythm, what are we talking about? We're talking about the beats in a bar. Now, it might get a bit confusing. If it does, don't worry, we're here to explain it. Rhythm is so fundamental, and the way you count your rhythms, the way you feel your rhythms, makes a whole load of difference. When we talk about a bar, we're talking about beats. So how many beats are there per bar? There's actually 4. But you have longer notes as well, such as a whole note, which lasts for the whole length of the bar. And you have half notes, which last for the half the length of the bar. So if we're talking about those two notes in particular, the whole note, which sounds a bit like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, as you can see there, I only played once, and I let the note ring out for the whole length of the bar. When we talk about half notes, we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see there how it's half that length of that whole note, which is why it's called a half note. Those are two of the key overlooked notes. Loads of bass players like to be busy, you know, you like to play as many notes as possible. Sometimes just playing a whole note or a half note really, really makes the bar. You know, really makes that phrase. Just holding it there. Giving it a little bit of sustain, giving it a little bit of anxiety as well, you know. Tension and release, that's all we are as bass players. Create tension and we create release. And then we've got quarter notes. Quarter notes are your most common sort of ones that you come across, and they sound a little bit like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see there, I played on each beat. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, that's half of a half note. You can hear how that works, because I'm playing for half the length of time. As well as quarter notes, you have eighth notes, which sound more like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, playing for half the length of the quarter note. So that's called an eighth note. And then you have 16th notes, which are counted as 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. So that's 16 times you're playing in 4 beats. So it's quite fast. Really sounds really fast. It's used quite a lot in rock, metal, pop, even some pop songs. But it's really fundamental to know your rhythms. As a bass player, typically we play on the 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's the old school way of playing. So you don't have to play like that. That's how they first started playing electric bass. Came after the jazz era, sort of like the 1950s, 1960s, and then it got busier. You know, you play your disco lines where you're resting, you're holding a tacit, and it just gets busier, and you create a lot more funk and groove with it. So rhythmically you could be really busy or you could be really simple. So now we've covered the basics of just how to count and what a bar is. We're going to quickly look at the real most helpful tool you'll ever have in your bass arsenal. That's a metronome. So I've got a metronome here which is also a tuner. If I turn it on, put it onto metronome, instantly it defaults to 120 BPM. So when we're talking about BPM, we're talking about how fast the beat is. 120 is about the standard for most pop and rock songs. As you can hear, every time it beeps, you're supposed to be playing and holding the note until the next beat if you're playing quarter notes. That's how you work with the metronome. If you're playing a whole note, for instance, as we talked about, which lasts the whole length of the beat, or whole length of the bar, sorry, you play on the 1 and hold it until after the 4 is played. So you don't play again until the next 1. For instance, that will sound like, when it comes back to it, 3, 4, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's where you would be playing. You're playing on the 1s. Don't play on anything else, you just hold that note. When you're playing with the metronome, it's really important to play on that click. Got to really internalize that click. And playing slower will help you get there better. Playing fast it's great, you know, it's really fun, but it's not hard. Not as hard as playing slow. For instance, if I turn it onto the metronome again, still at 120 here, we're going to go down to 60, so half the length. And it gets really, really hard. You can hear it's already slowing down loads. Okay, now we're at 60. I'll put it closer to the mic so you can hear it. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can hear how much space there is in between each note. So it's really hard to hold that length. It's just a case of internalizing this. I recommend going up in values of 5 once you've mastered 60. The best way to master any of them is to just close your eyes. Sorry, my metronome keeps resetting itself at the minute. It needs to get a new one. But if you go up in values of 5, so from 60 you go to 65, 65 to 70, and so on and so on. Just keep going, working at it. And the best way to do that is to start off really simple. Don't complicate the left hand. So you don't want to be playing too many notes at a time. Just want to be focusing on the C. And I'll show you that now. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see there, I'm just keeping that C going. I'm not playing too much. Eventually, you'd play a scale over it. So that'll sound something like 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see how that is just simple, getting the hand moving, getting used to playing at 60 BPM, and just focusing on it. Good way to internalize a BPM is to shut your eyes and just count along. So that's all for today's lesson. We're going to cover some more interesting stuff next time. Stay tuned for the next one. Thanks very much.